Welcome back to Irreverent Business Podcast, the podcast where we take some things seriously and some things we don't take seriously. And just like every podcast, my guest has to give me an irreverent business hot take, and I have to 100% agree with it or 100% disagree with it, because there's no half-assing around here, only whole-assing.
Well, I'll give you the whole.
So here we have with us today Travis Luttmer from Country Financial, but you're more than just an insurance agent. So I'm very curious to hear, what is your irreverent business hot take?
My irreverent business hot take would be that the 4-year degrees, traditional 4-year degrees, are becoming obsolete with the coming of AI. We're not going to need them anymore.
I 100% agree. I feel like you set me up for this one because I have talked about this a little bit online, but I'm curious to hear why you in your industry think that.
AI has been a game changer for knowledge and knowledge searching. We use it every day in our own industry, where we may, what may have taken us, a couple hours to research into a policy language, we can dump it into AI and have it search through the policy language and have an answer within seconds.
But isn't there an inherent liability with, I'm using the word liability, pun intended, in the insurance space, with using AI for any sort of legal language or insurance language?
Well, the nice thing is insurance contracts are legal contracts. Right. So it's all in black and white. So how it's going to get paid out in a claim, how it's going to be paid out, everything is laid out. What's covered, what's not covered is all in that insurance contract. So if you can look at through underwriting rules and through the contract language, but the contracts are thick pages of contract. If you can look through all of that and find all the keywords and everything we need and specific wordings, it's super easy to find what you're looking for and understand that contract that much faster.
But at the end of the day, the AI will not be held accountable.
And the AI is not going to replace the agent. I don't believe that. But the AI will be held accountable eventually.
You think so?
I mean, so.
So back to your initial kind of statement. Do you think it's industry specific that the 4-year degree is going to go away, or is it just entirely? So do you think that really the entry-level positions are going away?
Yes.
When you think about paralegals, you think about administrative assistants, things like that.
Yeah, a lot of the things that AI can automate and tasks, those jobs I think are going to go away. It's going to lean more towards entrepreneurial things, which you're not going to get at a 4-year degree. How to run a business, how to operate a business. Those things don't come necessarily with, a 4-year degree or letters after your name.
So I'll ruin some of the punchline to our conversation, but you've been really successful in your insurance career in not a super long time. You've been in it for how long now?
7 years.
Okay. Do you have a 4-year degree?
I do not have a 4-year degree.
Did you go to college?
I did. Attended a couple of different colleges. Went to Lynn Benton Community College for 2 years, but never completed my welding and fabrication degree. Then Liberty University for a little bit.
Oh, back east?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Just attended online.
Okay.
But I went back for business administration for criminal justice and law enforcement from my previous career. Mm-hmm. And then went through that and got 2 years into that, and then changed careers entirely, and now opened up a business and I'm a business owner, and never did finish. No diploma hanging on
the wall. Okay. So you did go to college, but what was it about it that you were like, I don't think this is for me, or I've had what I think I need and I'm going to be done?
So for me, it was a specialized knowledge, like being able to go in, take a couple of classes that are just specialized in learning what I needed to learn to accomplish the task I was looking forward to accomplishing. That was the most important part of the classes that I took. When I hire people, I don't look at resumes. I don't look at what college did you go to, what degree did you go to get. I look for people who are going to have a great work ethic, a great attitude, and are coachable and teachable. So did they play sports? What kind of an athlete were they? Were they a coachable student, or were they somebody who doesn't take instruction well? Those are where you're really looking for people to want to join my team. It's not what's on paper.
That's interesting you say, because I also don't take resumes. Now I will ask that they be sent to me, but I don't look at them too heavily. And part of that is similar to what you said, is it's like, is this the right fit? Can they communicate? Now, my staff almost entirely remote. Yours is not. You're actually in office.
Yeah.
With people.
Everybody
How does that affect the way that you hire?
So they've got to be able to present themselves well, but you've got to be knowledgeable. You've got to be able to show up every day, and be able to treat the client and the customer that's coming in with respect, and hold emotions back, and be very level-headed. When things come at you, like in the insurance industry, we're dealing with people who are calling us on their worst day.
Yeah.
And, emotions are high, emotions are raw. You may get people that are super angry and hostile to you in person and or over the phone. So you have to be able to handle those situations. And then you get the other side where everybody's super happy as well. And you need to be able to regulate between those.
Do you guys do internal coaching on that kind of stuff?
Not as much. That's more personal development and really where I've got people is I want to see you. Common sense isn't really common anymore. So I look for.
I 100% agree.
Do you have common sense in how this should go, or do I really got to walk you through it step by step? I'll do that in the beginning, but if I got to repeat myself multiple times and you're not getting it,
we're gonna have
a problem. So you really need to be able to just have a good head on your shoulders, be able to pivot and go with the flow as things are thrown at you.
Your previous career was in law enforcement.
Yes.
How much of that experience translates to dealing with people under pressure, dealing with people on their worst day? Do you see a lot of similarities there?
We do. And I know a lot of former law enforcement officers that are very successful insurance and financial agents.
Really?
Yeah. I'm friends with several that had a career in law enforcement and then transitioned into insurance and financials.
Okay. I'm going to pause you there, because I literally had that question written down was why insurance after coming from law enforcement? So tell me about the connection there.
Well, I was a motorcycle officer, so I was in traffic. So I pulled numerous drivers over daily. They didn't want to talk to me, but it developed a skill to be able to be personable with people and have conversation doorside with people who didn't necessarily want to have a conversation with you. You're talking about the uncomfortable things and getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. So you, as in law enforcement, you do become comfortable with the uncomfortable, and as part of your day-to-day job. So that transitioned very easily into insurance, where people don't necessarily want to talk about the day that they're going to die.
Right.
They don't want to talk about, do I have the right protection in place to protect my loved ones in case something happens to me? Those are questions. Those topics are very difficult at best and very uncomfortable to talk about. But being able to bring those up with a matter of fact, but yet with some tact and clarity, people tend to gravitate towards that. They want somebody that is going to take the authoritative position that says, I know what I'm doing and I know how to take care of you. Here's option A, B, or C. Which one do we want to move forward with? People want a professional. They want somebody that they can trust in their corner. They don't want just a 1-800 number that they call and say, just give me something cheap. I don't care what it is. Because we all have money. We all have to spend it, but we want value for what we're spending it on. I don't want to just throw, $10 on the table and walk away and not take anything home. So I want to give my clients that value. I want them to understand that what they're paying for when they get the Travis Luttmer agency is that you get somebody with authority that knows what they're talking about and is there to look after you. So I used to tell people, from being in law enforcement and transitioning to insurance, is I still protect your butt, just in a different way.
You don't write tickets anymore.
No.
Yeah. No. You have 2 offices with your agency.
Yes. I have one in Corvallis and one in Sweet Home.
Why 2 offices versus just growing one bigger?
Well, when I started back in January of 2019, I was what they called an employee agent. So I was hired by Country Financial to represent them. And I was an employee, a salaried employee. But my office was in Corvallis, and that's where they had me stationed. So I built a network and a clientele base in the Corvallis office. Then I transitioned and moved over to the Albany office, and I was there for a year and a half. And then time came that I was offered the office location in Corvallis to take over and become an agent. So after right at a little over 2.5, just under 2.5 years, I became a career agent and my own agency. And so I had that office over in Corvallis. However, I grew up and live in Sweet Home. I have a huge natural market over there.
Right.
So there was no office, no Country Financial office in that area. So I decided to open a satellite office. And to this day, I mean, it exploded. I have over 300 households just in the proper Sweet Home area. And it just continues to grow. So we split that, and I have clients all the way from Newport all the way to Sweet Home, from the coast of the Cascades,
Sure.
and all the way up through the Willamette Valley. And now we're now in 13 different states. We have clients in 13 different states.
Okay. So I have a ton of questions about, I mean, not just why Country, but why, being in insurance, did you choose to go under the umbrella of the national brand versus doing something that's more localized, whether that's to Pacific Northwest or whether it's to Oregon specifically?
So I chose Country. I was a client at Country Financial since like 2000. And I had them as an insurance company when I started out. I had been with, numerous other carriers. I had done the proverbial shopping around every 6 months, looking for the best deal, looking for the cheapest price. But when it came down to actually having a claim and having the company be there for me, Country stood out. They didn't fight on claims. They were there every step of the way. It was a smooth process. So when it came time to transition into a career, I looked at a couple of different insurance companies, life insurance companies, and then property casualty companies. And then I kept circling back to Country. And so I asked the local agent that I was a friend with and my agent. And then I asked the manager, hey, what would it take to be an agent for Country Financial? So I went to a couple of interviews and was offered a position, and the rest is history.
Sure. Now, I'm going to imagine that being an insurance agent wasn't like in your first grade dream journal.
Right.
Like
right.
what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of college students that are going to get their 4-year degree, back to your initial kind of hot take here, to get their 4-year degree to become an insurance agent. I'll be honest, Travis, it sounds insanely boring to me. And every time I'm on a call, and I've had multiple agents, similar to what you're talking about. And I'm not so much a race to the bottom guy. Like, this isn't just like, what's the cheapest car insurance I can get, right? I've taken enough, financial courses and things like that to know, like, there's thresholds here you want to be inside of. But anytime I hear insurance, like, my eyes roll into the back of my head.
No.
Right? What is it about it to you that's interesting? Other than making, a ton of money like you do, buku bucks, multiple cars, mansions, stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm just rolling in it.
Don't fact check this, anyone. Yeah. Why insurance?
I love helping people. And so really, I nerd out on a lot of that, where I can get into the nitty-gritty of a policy and make sure that when we're talking, it's not the last thing I talk about is price. Now, price is important, but what I really want to talk to you about is what do you want insurance to do for you? And what don't you care about?
Gotcha.
Because if you don't care about XYZ over here, let's not put it on the policy. Let's not worry about it being covered. But if A, B, and C over here is something that's very important to you, and we don't talk about it, and you don't put it on your policy, and it's not covered when it comes time for claim day, you're screaming on the phone because you thought what you were paying for, that $300 a month or $200 a month that you're paying for, isn't covering what you really wanted it to cover. So I take the time to really dive into the policy languages and be like, do you want water and sewer backup in case sewer comes up into your bathroom and you got to tear out all the sheetrock?
Hypothetically, obviously. Hypothetically. You've never seen that happen, right?
Oh yeah, never seen that. I had one happen where, somebody was doing business out of a greenhouse that they had, but they didn't notify us that they were doing that kind of exposure out of their greenhouse. That type of stuff is specifically excluded. You can't do business or commercial use out of your personal home. You've got to add a little extra endorsements in there so that those coverages can extend.
So hypothetically, if I have a home office that I'm not necessarily doing business out of, like I'm not selling a product out of like a greenhouse or a wood shop or something like that, is there additional business coverage needs to be had on my house for that space, or is that covered under my homeowners?
So if you just have
hypothetically,
if you have a home office, but this isn't your business, let's say one of your employees has a home office, they're not going to need an additional policy. They're not offering services. They don't have a liability risk. You, on the other hand, have liability risk if you're offering services or if people are going to be coming to your home,
right? That's
things like
different.
that. So if you're selling, like we'll get, some farms that have a roadside stand and they're selling chicken eggs and or flowers, things on the road, and they're having people come to their house every day. That's a very much a different risk than your personal home.
Right.
You've got a commercial risk now where people are consistently coming to your house, and the increased probability that a liability exposure is going to happen is much higher than if you were going to come to my house or I was going to come to your house. I don't have people over every single day buying something from me.
Sure. Okay, so you were in law enforcement, you're in insurance. I'm curious in your perspective on whether insurance you think has gone too far. Has it gotten too invasive into the life of individuals? And we live in a sue-happy country.
Very much.
And I know this talking to people that live abroad, whether it's Europe or it's Central America. We're quick to pull out litigation or at a minimum some sort of mediation. Do you think it's gone too far? Like, do we have way too many asterisks and footer notes and things like that?
Unfortunately, it has to be that way because we are such a litigious society that if there weren't restrictions on what's covered and what's not covered, we see it every day in the lawsuits. And that is one of insurance's biggest expenditures is the litigious side of things and the liability side. When you're talking millions of dollars in lawsuits, how much do you pay for your house? $1,800 a year for homeowners insurance. But yet if your dog bites somebody, it's $500,000. How many years of paying $1,800 a year would it take to cover $500,000?
I have so many questions, but they're all very personal because my property line is next to what's technically public property. And I've had a lot of questions and conversations about this too, because again, the common sense part isn't very common anymore. And a lot of people I think are opportunistic. So whether it's a kid who gets hurt on a playground at school or gets hurt on a public playground in a park, right? Versus someone that walks into a property like this one, which is a commercial space, and slips and falls. Now we're into, all kinds of liability issues. I find it incredibly frustrating And yet, having been in car accidents where someone else hit me and wasn't covered, or was covered but didn't have the correct insurance, I've seen the fallback on it.
Yes.
I've had vehicles broken into, and it cost me $1,000 to have it repaired.
Yeah.
And of course, we have no idea who it was. So I've seen the good, the bad, and the, not to the level that you have, right? Where you've seen entire properties. I remember you talking about this on one of your social media stories about, I think it was a ranch or something like that. There was a issue out. I have to go back and look at it. I'm going to put you on the spot here. But one of my questions I had written down is, what do you wish business owners knew, or what do you wish they asked when approaching a policy, whether it's a policy that's just like umbrella coverage for their business, or whether it's something specific to their storefront?
So the biggest thing that I would say that business owners need to be is honest and open. I'm not the boogeyman. We're not the bad guy. I'm here to make sure that you're protected.
Right.
And I think sometimes we tend to get jaded and guarded with our information. I don't want to tell you what I'm doing because you're going to charge me some ungodly amount of money. But
yeah, if I don't mention that I've got this RV on my property, maybe my policy will be less.
Yeah, my policy be less. But what you're not understanding is the large gap that you're creating by not explaining that. So as a business owner, just being open and honest with everything that you're doing, and we can build coverages around that to make sure that if that's something you want to make sure you have coverage for, that we can custom build those policies to take care of you. Because it's, in the end, the policy premium is probably the cheapest part of everything. Like when you end up in a claim and it's 50, 60, 70, multiple six figures, that, $1,000 a year policy or $2,000 a year policy is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah. Is there anything that still surprises you? You've been in the game for a while. Is there something that surprises you on a weekly basis?
I would say, honestly, I'm kind of numb to it. Nothing really surprises me anymore. But we get a call. So one thing that's kind of, okay, I would say that we're talking about like your property. Let's say if you had a tree on your property and it fell over and hit your neighbor's house and put a hole in his roof, whose homeowner's insurance do you think that would be claimed under?
I do not know.
It would be his. You buy insurance to protect your property.
Interesting.
Your tree, you had no control over that tree falling on your neighbor's property. You're not liable for it. That's the key word. What are you liable for? Now, did you know that tree was dead and a danger? Then that might be something different. But
how do you improve that?
Yeah, like a lot of times it has to be like, a documentation from an arborist or the city or something saying you need to remove this tree. It's a danger.
And then you ignored it.
And you ignored it. Then you may become liable for that. But if it's just a windstorm and a tree branch falls out of the tree and damages the neighbor's car, that's their auto insurance that has to cover that.
Yeah.
That's, and you can help them pay for the deductible if you wanted to. But that's their insurance. That's
so interesting. Is there anything else in the insurance space you were like, this is absurd, but it just is the way it is?
I mean, there's things like that, and they're just. I mean, again, I could bore you to death, and your eyes would glass over.
I mean, now you got me intrigued.
There's lots of little caveats to that, and that people are like, "Well, I had no idea that wasn't covered," or I had.
And that's not an excuse, apparently, that insurance will accept. Is I had no idea,
because contracts are black and white.
Right.
As I stated earlier, they are a legal contract. Everything is in black and white, and so it's whether it's covered or it's not covered. It's in there. And so you just have to read it. Like, is your lawn tractor covered? Like, okay, jewelry, furs, and firearms, typically covered Some insurance companies only cover up to $1,500 total complete for the whole, that category.
For jewelry, furs, and firearms.
3 separate categories there. But
what about guitars?
So that would be
couple.
Personal property. But if it was a specialized guitar, like a signed Gibson,
I'm pretty sure I have all my guitars on my homeowner's insurance.
I would say you need to have that, what they call specifically scheduled on your policy for a stated amount. And then having that appraised.
Back when that used to help pay the bills, that was a different level of conversation for sure. Where it's like, this is gonna have to be replaced. But one of the things that is interesting too is I interviewed you. Gosh, it had to have been 4 years ago, I think, when I was writing my book, Digital Marketing Sucks.
Right behind me.
Oh, it's behind you. Oh, look at that! Wow, shameless product placement.
Yeah, right there.
And I interviewed you for a couple of reasons. One is you came recommended by somebody, and I had asked, I was like, hey, are there any business owners on my social media that I need to talk to? And I remember, I think it was Brian actually, that tagged you and said, you need to talk to Travis. And I was like, okay, insurance is boring. I don't know who Travis is. But if Brian says I need to call this guy, like I might give him a call, right? So we got on the call, and as a marketing guy, again, there's limitations in a lot of these different, it doesn't matter if you're New York Life or Edward Jones or State Farm or whatever else, there's a ton of limitations in what you're allowed to do in marketing and promotion. And I didn't realize that until I got a call from like the 10th different person who's like State Farm or Allstate or whatever, and going like, holy smokes, like you guys are really tied into stuff. You can't have your own personal website.
No.
Certain companies, you can't even have a social media account. Some of those are changing. But you had a hook that I thought was one of the most clever ones. And I almost wrote about it in my book because I was so intrigued. Because I like simplicity. That's really important to me, which I think is one of the reasons why I hate insurance. Because I really want simple. Right. But you would literally just ask people, why am I not your insurance agent?
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Where did that come from? How many different one-liners did you try before that was the one you landed on?
Probably 3 or 4, but that came from closed-ended questions where you would be like, do you want a quote? No. Do you want me to help you with your home insurance? No. Do you have life insurance? I have that through work. I'm like, I was tired of these closed-ended questions.
Yeah.
And so if I asked you that question and I said, why am I not your agent? The first thing that you can't say no, you can't say yes. You have to give me an answer. And it's usually, I don't know. And then it opens up to, well, you know what? We can take a look at the numbers. If the numbers work, we'll do business. And if they don't, we are still friends. Like there's no pressure with me. Like, let's look at it. Let's make sure you're properly covered. If the numbers work, we're doing business. If they're not, we're still friends. But I'm going to start off the conversation with, why am I not your agent yet?
In what context were you using this? Was it just in daily conversations with friends or colleagues or coworkers or whatever it was? Or were you using this when you were like, I don't know, had an expo booth at something like that?
Yeah, I would use it when I was very first starting out. I used it on everybody. Any conversation that we'd be talking about, and they would ask me, what do you do for work?
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, I protect people in their livelihoods from calamity and different perils. And you know what? That leads me to ask you the question, why am I not your agent yet? And who do you have for insurance agent? Or do you even have an insurance agent? And a lot of people go through 1-800 companies. And so it opened up that conversation. Again, back to my law enforcement. I just walked up to people. I didn't care if you want to talk to me or not. I'd be like, hey, my name is this. This is what I do. Why am I not your agent yet?
Did you make them show you like their driver's license? And...
No, no. That opens the avenue.
Insurance and vehicle registration. Stuff
yeah,
like that.
Right.
That's a good way, I guess.
License, registration, proof of insurance.
And insurance policy.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, you're with XYZ company.
How much do you credit your kind of initial success to that question?
I would say that got me in more doors with people, influential people, and people who wanted to share me. Another one-liner that I used a lot was, "Don't keep me a secret." And so I always tell people, hey, if they're happy with me and you appreciated what I did for you and the amount of time I took to walk through all these policies with you and make sure you understood what you're buying, don't keep me a secret. Share me around town. Like, share me with your friends, share me with your family, share my social media posts, tell people about me. Don't keep me a secret under a rock.
In law enforcement, I can imagine a lot of your personal life, online presence, stuff like that was pretty quiet.
Yeah, I think I had like 147 friends.
It's not so quiet anymore, Travis.
Yeah.
You're kind of everywhere, man. Talk to me about the transition from going from that to being was it natural? Did you want to do it?
No. I am more of an introvert than you. No, this is very difficult for me. I started out, my Facebook was locked down tighter than Fort Knox, and everything was private, and I had my name was different. It wasn't even my real name, and because I didn't want anybody to know, who I was or where I was, where I worked. And so I was very reclusive. But, starting in insurance in 2019, well, guess what?
Something
1 year
happened.
later, something big happened.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the time to build all of these center of influence networks with lenders and mortgage lenders, real estate agents. The world shut down on me. And I was like, I still have to make this work. I still have to do what I'm contracted to do. What do I do now? So I turned to the only thing that was available, and that was Facebook, social media. And it was, I'm diving in head first. And it was just, I started contacting people. I started befriending people and just pushing, don't keep me a secret. Pass me along.
Why am I not your agent?
Why am I not your agent? And moving along and helping the community through that and through Facebook and being a center of knowledge for everybody, it became a hub.
I want to highlight something that I found in my research getting ready for this. And that is in most of your reviews, because you're talking about kind of the center of knowledge. In most of your reviews, the word education is added at some point, and I'm looking for one specifically I can find. And of course, on the spot, I can't do that.
And that's by design.
Okay, there you go. Here's something that I wrote down. People keep saying you taught them their own policy.
Yeah.
Okay, is that something that you wrote down as like a strategic goal of like, hey, I want to be known for this? Or is that just something that kind of naturally happened for you?
It just naturally happened. Most people, I knew from experience when I started in insurance, I knew nothing. I didn't have a life insurance policy on my own. I didn't know what these coverages meant. I had no idea, no clue. And so I made myself learn and educate myself. And I know that most people are like me. They look at it and they go, I just need insurance and all insurance is the same.
Right.
So I just need to pick the one that's cheapest on the shelf and it'll be fine. A can of corn is a can of corn is a can of corn. Don't care if it's Del Monte or a Walmart brand, but that's not how insurance works. Insurance is like, you can buy a Walmart shirt that might last you 3 months, or you can go to Macy's and buy or a designer and buy something that's very nice and is going to last you a long time. It's like going to Harbor Freight versus Snap-on Tools.
Right.
They'll get the job done, but it's not going to be quality. It's not going to last you. It's not going to be there for you when you need it the most. Same thing with insurance. You need to understand, what does your policy do and what does your policy not do? So that way, when you need it the most, and on that day that you call me for a claim, you know what you have and how it's going to work. So that way, there's no confusion. You understand how that policy operates and performs. So there is no misconceptions. There is no, the insurance company screwed me over. Because I knew exactly what I was buying. Now, if you want to buy, lesser coverage, then just understand that that's what it's going to do. But if you want XYZ coverage, then you're going to pay for it. You get what you pay for. But that's the biggest thing is, if you walk away educated, I don't even care if you buy from me. If you walk away educated and understanding, going, thank you, then I've done my job. And you are going to see the value in that someday.
Right.
And you're going to give me a call and you're going to go, hey, look, you walked me through this before and let's take a look at it.
How do you approach, okay, so more introverted, more reserved. I don't know what that's like. But the older I've gotten, it's not that I like people less. I just like less people. I think is probably, does that work?
Right.
How do you approach your social media? I mean, obviously there was some strategy to it because it's grown pretty significantly, but also how do you come up with ideas? How do you schedule yourself to actually, that's the biggest thing, right? And for God's sakes, I own a podcast studio, so I don't have an excuse, but I still have times where I just don't schedule. How do you give yourself a content calendar? Do you give yourself a series of questions, or is this just kind of on the fly? Like you encounter a situation, you grab your phone, you take a video. How do you do that?
So threefold. In the beginning, I was just off the cuff. Whatever I could think of, I'm going to talk about it. But then I got involved with an Instagram ad agency that was like, hey, look, you need some direction with your content and some clarity. So I got them on board, and they then introduced me a lot more to AI. So they were sending me prompts. They are sending me like daily video ideas and saying, hey, why don't you talk about this stuff? And then they've adapted fully into AI. And so now I've got a page that shows me daily prompts of, hey, we want you to talk about this. This is your topic. This is the hook. This is your call to action. Just go out and record it.
Nice.
And so I'll pull that app up, scroll through it and be like, yep, I'll just do that one and click up, a tripod and record a video. Or if I'm just doing, and then I incorporate some, personal stuff. And it's like, hey, look, those are the ones that get more views than the insurance, because insurance is boring.
Super boring.
It is. I'm not going to say it.
But you're saying that whenever there's that person, and this is kind of the push with AI and not AI. And we talk about this at the publishing company all the time, to where I'm like, anybody can sound like they know what they're talking about because they can just get information pulled from AI. But when you add those personal anecdotes, you can't fake that.
No.
I mean, you can't lie about the story, I guess, but the idea is it's like, no, it's coming from you.
Yeah. Because it's coming from a place that cares.
Right.
Like it's one thing to show genuine, when you're genuinely bought into something, it's going to show through in everything that you do. So in my content, you can tell it's authentic. We're talking about this because not that I want to sell a policy and I want to make $2. I want you to make sure that when you're calling me, when you have a claim, that it's going to be covered, and we're going to be able to go to bat for you and make sure it's covered properly. So
how much do you think of your business do you attribute to business growth from social media versus word of mouth versus fill in the blank?
I was very, like, again, when I very first started, I did not have, yes, people knew of me, but people didn't know me. And so my circle was small. I grew up in Sweet Home. I was a hometown boy. People knew of me, but in a town of 10,000 people, not everybody's going to know your name. And being able to push out into social media, I think 50, 60% of my business now well, most all of it comes from social media now.
Really?
But in the beginning, 50, 60% of it was coming from social media and 50% of it was natural market, people that I knew, because I didn't work with lenders and real estate agents and the typical centers of influence that send you referrals. I have a different business model that I go after people like you and me, the average everyday person who has, 20 friends and says, I value people taking care of me. And if you can take care of me, then I'm going to tell all my friends about you. And if I tell all my friends about you, when you go look for a plumber before AI came on, where did you go? Or a dentist, a lot of times you would see people jump onto forums on Facebook or wherever and be like, hey, who do you guys use? Who do you recommend to watch my dog? And you would get 50 suggestions. Well, what my goal was, I want to be 49 of those 50 suggestions.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, that's got a metric to it.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. No, that's cool. And I'm curious too, as you look at, so you've expanded to 2 locations. Is the expansion, like, are you done? Are you like, hey, this is where we're done? Like, how do you know when enough is enough in growth and business, or when you're like, I'm just going to sustain what I have right now? And the reason I ask this question is I've had this conversation with real estate agents a lot, to where I go, is it enough to be the dominant realtor in one town, one area, or is it beneficial to also be licensed to where everyone is moving, right? So, okay, I'm going to be licensed here in Oregon. I'm also going to be licensed in Texas. Like, how do you know when it's like invest where I'm at versus like, hey, let's start checking out some other locations?
So the majority of your business for insurance companies is going to be within 30 to 60 miles of your home office. And so
it sounds like a stat that's pretty widely known in the insurance space.
Yeah. So basically, when I dumped in Corvallis, we got a 30-mile radius there.
Right.
Sweet Home's got a 30-mile radius there. And so I am looking at, here in the near future, expanding. But you really have to know where you're going, the demographics, the competitiveness of your product in that area.
I was going to assume because it's like you need to go to a place where there's not a country agent.
Yeah. We'd need to, develop in a city or town that did not have a country financial agent. Obviously you have to get permission and approval from corporate to open up an additional office. So they're going to look at, is there enough people? Is the demographics support an agency office there? Is it, going to be successful, or is there a close by agent? Are you going to be stepping on toes? Are you going to be doing anything like that? So you have to really look at that before you even start thinking about wanting to expand. But bottom line is you got to make sure you have the revenue. And the, if the income's not coming in, how do you expand? So
what you're telling me is it's not just about helping people. I joke about this with business owners all the time because I go, why'd you start your business? What's the motive? What's the, all this kind of stuff. And most of the time people are like, I just want to help people. I want to help. I get that. I also feel that same way. But anyone that doesn't tell me that there's also a financial component.
I want to build a legacy. I mean, hands down. I want to help people, but I want to build a legacy. I want people to remember my name. What does that look like?
So that's what I was going to ask. Is that for your kids? Is that for people being like, no, I remember Travis when I was in a situation?
Yeah, I think that's my biggest goal, is to go through life knowing that, when I'm done, that I've done everything I can to help my community and help people and be there, that it creates that legacy that people are like, I knew him and I knew what he stood for. That's what drives me. I want to be the biggest and the best.
I'm okay with that, man. I'm okay with that. I think it's incredibly authentic and honest too. And I kind of want to wrap it up with this. Where do you think insurance is heading that the average person has no idea about? I mean, because it's always been in my head, it's always been like, you're watching the insurance commercials and my kids know all the jingles and all that kind of stuff. They don't know anything about what insurance does or anything else like that. But as they get older, I mean, I remember making my first premium payment at 16 on my car, right? As they get older, they'll understand it. But where is it heading that those of us outside of the industry have no idea about?
I think and this is just speculation, I don't know, but I would say you're going to see a lot more telematics. You're going to see a lot more apps and things where the coverages are individualized and not just grouped into large groups. Like right now, there are classes of groups. People might be like, why is my insurance cost so much? I have a good driving record. I don't, because you're grouped into a lump group. And if with telematics, they can individualize what type of a driver are you? What type of a risk are you? And charge appropriately for those risks.
How do they track that? Is that through the safe driving app on your phone or something?
Yeah, so Country has an app called Driver IQ, and it's an app that goes on your phone, and it is GPS and gyroscopic, so where it measures hard braking and speed and phone touches. So if you're on your phone as a phone distraction, it'll calculate the seconds that you're on your phone. And then it computes all of that and it gives you a discount on your auto insurance, anywhere from a 1% discount if you're the world's worst driver and a 25% discount if you're, a great driver. So it pans out. Right now, I'm scheduled to have a 24% discount on my auto.
What the hell did you do?
I know.
You
had a couple hard breaks.
I was at the Harley. Is that what happened? It was when you went out?
It was the other car.
Former motorcycle cop gets a 1% removal. That's really interesting. I can see, as a marketing guy, as a business guy, I can completely understand the play there.
Yeah.
You're putting the control in the consumer's hand to be like, no, you will get the discount that you deserve based on the habits you create. It's a really interesting model for sure.
I think it'll right now it's optional, but I think here in the near future,
you think it'll be on everybody's?
I think it's going to be in every carrier, and it's going to be mandatory, most likely, where everybody is doing it.
As someone that has kids that are going to be driving and not very long, the idea of putting them on some of the highways that we drive scares the hell out of me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so the idea that kind of stuff is going to be standard. Obviously there's pros and cons all of it, right? It feels like another big brother watching us, but also for to what end, to what goal?
Yeah.
So, it's very interesting, Travis. Okay, any question I didn't ask you that you're like, I really wish Jake had asked me about?
No, man, I really appreciate the time, and I think that was awesome.
I'm glad we did this. Yeah. Again, it's one of those irreverent business is about just kind of ripping the mask off of business. That's always been the goal here, and talking about it behind the scenes. If there's a college student that's considering getting into business administration, sell them on insurance.
Yeah.
This is not something they want to be influencers. They want to be, I don't know why they want to get into marketing. They all want to get into marketing, man. I got to stack up 100 resumes. This job is miserable.
Right.
But sell them on insurance. Why would a 21, 22-year-old kid?
This industry has so many up potentials, and there's no cap on the amount of money that you can make. There's no top end. It just depends on how many people you want to help. And the more people you can help, the more money you can make. There's very few restrictions on that, where if I help 10 people, I make this much money. But if I help 1,000 people, I make this much money. And the opportunities to grow there are just, astronomical. So if you're wanting to, get into an industry where you can get out there and make a good amount of money and not even have to have a degree, you just need to be able to talk to people. You need to be able to understand contract language and what it does. This can be fun. Like I take people to baseball games. I take people to
Can confirm. I did go to a baseball game with Travis.
Yeah, I basketball games. We've been to a couple Blazer games and Beaver games.
Oh shoot! I didn't wear my duck. I had my duck sweatshirt sitting next to this one, and I grabbed this one.
That's funny. Yeah.
That's really cool, though, man. I think that again, I've seen this in the entrepreneurial space, but also just in the employment space, is that people are looking less and less and less for all of the additional perks. They're starting to go like, what's my salary and what's the potential?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're talking about 5 years being a long time in a job.
Yeah.
Because of the shift. So it's not about the 401k. It's not about the health benefits. It's not about the retirement. It's about how much money can I have up front, or how much money can I make? And so you're saying, hey, this is a really good option here.
Yeah.
If you have the entrepreneurial vibe and you want to push.
Yeah. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. You've got to work hard for it. You know, I have people that come in all the time. And they're like, oh, insurance is easy. Everybody has to have it. But there's like over 1,900 insurance companies in the United States. Like, country's not the only one.
Right.
And so you got to sell people on you. Yeah. And you got to sell people on the value of what you offer. And if you're just offering the same thing as the Joe Blow internet company, they're going to pick the Joe Blow internet company because it saved them $3.50.
That's a good way to wrap it up. Travis, thanks for being here, man. Yeah. Genuinely appreciate it.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.